Hey everyone, it's John. So as you're watching this video right now, I'm currently on vacation with my family. Due to time restraints, I had to record this video a week in advance. I felt this would have been the best decision to make. Thank you and enjoy the video. So 2020 has finally come to an end.
Yes! Yes! Oh yeah! Can you feel that, buddy? Huh?
And with 2021 approaching us, there are a ton of big movies coming out next year that I'm personally really looking forward to. Which is ironic to say because a huge majority of the movies that are supposedly coming out next year were supposed to come out this year, but because of the pandemic, that didn't go over well. And I say this every single year whenever I make one of these videos. These are my personal picks for my most anticipated movies of 2021. And every year, there's always that one movie coming out that everyone else is excited for, and it just doesn't make my list. And the reason why is I'm either not excited for it, or there wasn't enough room for it to make the list. People will either agree or disagree with me on this video. People will be happy and disappointed with this video, and that's perfectly fine. As long as we can get along and respect our opinions, we're good. Now, before we start with number 10, I want to take the time to mention some movies that didn't make the list that I'm also excited for, but unfortunately, they didn't make the list. So here are some honorable mentions. Chaos Walkin', Elvis, Ghostbusters Afterlife, Luca, No Time to Die, Raya and the Last Dragon, and West Side Story. Alright, now with that out of the way, let's get into it. These are my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2021. And let's start the list with number 10. Blonde. Marilyn Monroe was one of the most iconic figures in the history of pop culture and American history. Now, if you guys are familiar with the story of Marilyn Monroe, you're probably familiar with her life story. And I've done research on her myself, and her life story is really interesting and sadly tragic. I'm really interested in seeing how Blonde will portray her life story, and Ana de Armas will be playing Marilyn Monroe, and after seeing her in Knives Out, I think she's gonna knock it out of the park as Monroe for sure. Mission Impossible 7. Now, when it comes to the Mission Impossible franchise, it's a little off and on for me. The first two really aren't that good, but the third one was quite good. Ghost Protocol I thought was fantastic. Rogue Nation I didn't quite like as much as Ghost Protocol, but I still really enjoyed it. And Fallout was one of the best action movies to come out in the past decade. Now technically we don't know much about the plot of Mission Impossible 7 as of now, but regardless, I'm still really excited in seeing what direction they're gonna take this franchise into. And also, Tom Cruise is once again returning as Ethan Hunt. Okay, say what you want about the guy. Personally, he is kind of a nut job, but as an actor, it is truly amazing seeing him do his own stunts in these movies. Think about it. The guy is almost 60 years old, and he does his own freaking stunts. Like, not a lot of actors in Hollywood are willing enough to do that. It's quite amazing. And also, Mission Impossible 7 will be split into two movies. Mission Impossible 8 will be coming out in 2022, and I have a feeling 8 will be the final one. So, even though we don't know much about these new movies, I'm still hoping that they're going to end this franchise with a bang. Tom and Jerry. So every year, there's always that one movie on my list that's either going to be really good or it's going to suck. And with Tom and Jerry, I feel like that might be the case. But I might sound a little biased here, but I grew up with Tom and Jerry. I watched it a lot as a kid, and I'm sorry. I'm really excited for this movie. I have faith in this. I have optimism in this. And yes, I know, it is rare for Hollywood to take a property that everyone knows and everyone loves and reboot it into something that's good and it respects the original source material that it's based off of. And Hollywood has done a good job with this for sure. Some examples are the Peanuts movie, the Muppets, and Christopher Robin. But they've also done a terrible job doing this for sure. One example is The Last Airbender. But for now, my fingers are crossed for Tom and Jerry, and no, I'm obviously not expecting an intellectual and thought-provoking masterpiece, and even if it's not great, I just want it to be, what's the word? Oh yeah, good! Space Jam: A New Legacy. Again, just like with Tom and Jerry, Space Jam: A New Legacy is either gonna be really good or really bad. However, the second I heard about the plot for Space Jam: A New Legacy, I was immediately hooked. When I first heard they were making Space Jam 2, the first thought that came to my mind was, oh, it's just a repeat of the first one, except with LeBron. But no, I don't think that's gonna be the case. From what I heard, I don't think they're gonna bring back the Monstars. Instead, they're gonna use Warner Brothers villains like Joker, Pennywise, the Wicked Witch of the West, and Voldemort. How can you not be excited for this? And also, if you live in Ohio, like myself included, I don't see how anyone could not be excited for this. Because LeBron's in it. The GOAT. The French Dispatch. So, if you guys saw my list last year of the top 10 most anticipated movies of 2020 video, you may remember that I added The French Dispatch on that list as well. So with The French Dispatch, they haven't announced an actual release date for it yet. It's still coming out in 2021, but we don't know specifically when. I think it's going to premiere at Cannes Film Festival first, and then they're going to release it later in the year. I think it would be smart if they release it in the fall, because unlike summer, there's not a big movie coming out every single weekend, and they could probably release it during Halloween time or Thanksgiving time when things start to slow down a little bit. But still, I'm really excited for The French Dispatch. It has an all-star cast, and it's being directed by Wes Anderson, who is one of my favorite filmmakers working today. The Suicide Squad. Yeah, I wasn't exactly a humongous fan of the first Suicide Squad movie from 2016. However, with this new one coming out, I think it's gonna blow the first one out of the water. First of all, it's being directed by James Gunn, who also did Guardians of the Galaxy, and it has an all-star cast. Margot Robbie is once again returning as Harley Quinn, but there's also newcomers coming in, like Idris Elba, John Cena, Sylvester Stallone, Pete Davidson, Peter Capaldi, and Taika Waititi, among a whole smattering of others. So with a talented filmmaker directing it, as well as an all-star cast starring in it, I see The Suicide Squad having potential to become one of the best DC movies of all time. Spider-Man 3. So yeah, I'm sure most of you are probably aware by now by what they're doing with Spider-Man 3. And honestly, it sounds mind-blowing. They're doing a live-action Spider-Verse with Spider-Man 3, and I heard they're gonna bring back Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, as well as Kirsten Dunst and Emma Stone and Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus. Jamie Foxx will also be returning as Electro, but from what I heard, I don't think he's playing the same one he played in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. From what I heard, I believe they're having him play a totally different reincarnation of the character. I only have one concern with Spider-Man 3, which is, since they're doing the Spider-Verse, they're gonna have to introduce so many characters, and I'm worried it's gonna get to a point where it's gonna be messy. But for the most part, I'm really looking forward to Spider-Man 3, and I'm really curious in seeing what they're gonna do with it. Babylon. So, if we're talking about modern filmmakers, Damien Chazelle is one of my absolute favorites working right now. I loved Whiplash, I loved La La Land, and I liked First Man, but I didn't love it. And his next film, Babylon, is one that I'm very excited for. It's set during 1920s Hollywood, near the end of the silent film era, in which talkies were becoming the new norm in Hollywood. Brad Pitt will be starring in it, as well as Margot Robbie. Emma Stone was originally supposed to be in it, but she sadly had to drop out. And I heard a rumor somewhere that Meryl Streep, Tobey Maguire, and Michael B. Jordan are supposed to star in it as well. So with Babylon, I hope this film will be yet again another home run for Damien Chazelle. Dune. Dune was also mentioned in my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2020 video last year. And if it weren't for this stupid virus, we all could have seen it by now. But either way, I'm still really looking forward to Dune. That trailer we got a few months back was pretty great. It has a really talented director directing it, Denis Villeneuve, and it has an incredibly talented cast starring in it. And in case any of you guys are wondering, no, I've still not read the book. Alright guys, so we finally come to that point. It's time to reveal my #1 most anticipated movie of 2021. And my #1 pick is Last Night in Soho. Well, what do you know? My most anticipated movie of 2020 is also my most anticipated movie of 2021. Last Night in Soho was originally supposed to come out in September of this year, but because of you know what, it's now coming out in April of next year, hopefully. It's being directed by Edgar Wright, who is one of, if not, my favorite filmmaker working right now, and it has a talented cast starring in it. Anya Taylor-Joy, Thomasin McKenzie from Jojo Rabbit, and the Doctor himself, Matt Smith. Edgar Wright has directed some of my favorite movies of all time, and I hope Last Night in Soho is yet again another fantastic film from him. Alright guys, so that's a wrap for my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2021. So, do you guys agree or disagree? Or, what movies coming out next year are you personally excited for? Just leave your comments down below. Now, before I end the video, I just want to say a quick message. 2020 has been one hell of a year, to say the least. And we don't know for sure when this whole thing will be over with, but whether it's sooner or later, we must always keep track of one thing, and that is hope. Regardless of what the situation we're in, the one silver lining of it is it's always hope. We must always use hope to prevail evil, negativity, and cynicalism, because this is what makes us great as human beings. We must always learn to love each other and be kind and always treat each other as equal, no matter the differences, beliefs, opinions, and views we have. No matter what, there is always a light at the end of every tunnel. Alright guys, so that's a wrap for this video. I hope you all have a happy new year, and I'll see you all next year in 2021.